Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Public Works and Transportation Committee to order for April 25th, 2023. And Madam Clerk, roll call and post into the agenda.
Member Zaragoza.
Here.
Member Valenzuela.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum for this meeting. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on April 18th, 2023.
And Councilman Perella won't join us tonight. He's got some personal issues you got to take care of. So please follow me for saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. So, Madam Clerk, any public comments? Members that want to join us either virtually or here in the audience?
Chair Zaragoza, no, we have no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you. So then we go to item C, and this is the consent item. The City Clerk Department approval of the minutes and recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee approve the minutes of April 11, 2023 regular meeting as presented. Councilmember, you have an opportunity to look at them.
Yes. Can I make a motion right now?
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the minutes from the April 11, 2023 regular meeting.
And I'll second the minutes. Please vote.
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
Okay, our next item is D1. This is a Public Works Department. Subject is Trade Service Agreement 2300349 with Quinn Company for preventive maintenance and on-call repairs for portable generators and heavy equipment specification PW 2366. Recommendation that Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Quinn Company for an amount not to exceed $840,000 for a 3-year term for maintenance of portable generators and heavy equipment. And this was a pre-recorded item under Measure M. And we do have Michael Wolf here or his assistants to help us for any additional information. Councilmember, do you have any additional information that you might want clarified?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, let me, Brian, let me see. My understanding is this 840,000 on-call services for, what is a skip steer? What is that? Number one. I know they have skip loaders and backhoes and generators and so forth, but skid-steers. What kind of equipment is that?
It's very similar to a skip loader. It has it's a little smaller.
Oh, okay.
I don't know all the details, but I know someone in the audience could probably help me out with a skid steer and what it's used for.
So does James knows what it is?
Yeah. So Mayor and committee members, one of the largest users of environmental resources, and that's why James is here on this agreement.
On this item,
So yeah, we use a lot of heavy equipment day to day for our daily operations from the refuse and solid waste that's coming through.
So this Quinn's going to be there for an emergency services or on call.
Absolutely.
And so I think James, so what is that skid STERS? And
Mayor, council member, a skid steer is a small little, you would say, little dozer that pushes. In the ER division, we use to push trash within our facility.
into the truck, the back, or just to
Well,
move
actually,
it?
just to move it around.
Oh, just move it. Oh,
Right.
pile it. And okay.
Then we have wheel loaders that push it into.
Because I'm familiar with the skip loader and the backhoes and of course generators. You know, it's really important. But I've never heard of the skid steers. Is that
Very
what?
small, it's maneuverable,
Is-
so it does quick turns.
Oh, good. So anyway, so then
I think the mayor just wants to drive it.
I want to drive it as right. I want to see it. So then, also I understand, Brian and James, maybe Brian, that this is going to be used also to provide service to 8 other divisions. Is that correct?
That is correct. So we've been using this type of service for over 9 years. Each division in Public Works has heavy equipment. For example, water, we service the heavy equipment for water. However, they rent from Quinn. So some of this is services from Quinn, like at Environmental Resources, we use the maintenance services with Quinn. Also, rentals when necessary. If something breaks down, we have that ability to.
Oh, you have the ability to
Right.
replace it.
And water also rents equipment if they need, a backhoe or whatever additional equipment they may need for a repair, main break, as well as parks and facilities are mainly rentals. Wastewater has rentals as well as stormwater.
Because I remember in the past that we used to actually buy a backup, but now you don't have to buy a backup because they have them.
Yeah, we don't want to have equipment just sitting there. For
Exactly
example, Quinn helped us during the storm I think February, January on Ventura Road. So we
Okay.
had to get additional equipment to help us clean and open up Ventura Road from Gonzales to the freeway there.
And James, how many tons of trash do you convey every morning? I mean, every day? Is that
Well, our facility receives,
get close?
our facility receives between 800 to 1,100 tons of material a day.
That's
And
tremendous.
so our skid steers, wheel loaders, they're constantly moving. And, when we have a breakdown, we do have to pull it offline. And if it's going to be a hard breakdown where it's a long term, for days, we may need a rental to jump in and replace it until we get the other one up and running
So Quinn can have a piece of equipment there within hours or the next day or so.
within an hour. Normally, when we call them, they have the type of machines that we use. They can support us within an hour or so.
Fantastic. So this is a 3-year agreement then?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Any Councilmember, any?
No comments, but some of this heavy equipment is fun to drive since I do so at work.
Good. So, okay, so thank you, James, and thank you, Brian. So I'd like to make a motion to approve
Chair
this.
Zaragoza.
Go ahead. I was going to ask you that.
Okay. We have no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this item.
Second?
Please vote.
Motion carries 2-0.
Okay. Thank you, Brian, James. Thank you, and Joe, thank you. Okay, our next item is Public Works item, subject Second Amendment of Agreement Number 9315-21 PW for Econolight Systems Incorporated for Traffic Signal Prevention Emergency and Non-Emergency Maintenance Services. Recommendation of the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the execution of a Second Amendment to an agreement with Econolight Incorporated to increase the not-to-exceed amount of $300,000 to $500,000 for traffic signal preventive emergency and non-emergency maintenance services, and extend the contract termination to June 30th, 2025. And of course, this was also recorded in Measure M, and we do have Michael for, any questions, Councilmember?
No questions.
Okay, so my understanding, of course, Michael, that this is, I believe, it's really extremely important. To me, it's a big safety issue, that if you need, a light goes out, we need to have somebody to take care of it. And my understanding is that we're gonna piggyback with the city of Thousand Oaks for the service. And I just want to share that this is really important. We're doing a lot of piggybacking with Ventura, with Thousand Oaks, and those partnerships, I think, are really, really important. So any additional information we need to know on this item, Michael?
Good evening, Mayor and Councilmember Michael Wolf, Director of Public Works. I just want to reiterate what you said, Mayor, about, these are critical safety items that they're working on. We have 2 in-house signal technicians. Obviously, they can't get to every signalized intersection in the city. And not only from a preventative and maintenance perspective, from a corrective maintenance perspective, and then on top of that, from an emergency response perspective, we want to make sure these signals are operating correctly And unfortunately, they get hit in traffic accidents. They get, not the people, the pieces of equipment.
The signal
Yeah,
light itself.
Yeah, the signal itself. And we can't be without those in terms of public safety for too long. And so we want to make sure we have the ability to make those emergency repairs as necessary.
You know, one thing that I've noticed is that in the past, I don't know why, but I've always you see a light go out and you had to put temporary stop signs and so forth. And I haven't seen that for a while, so obviously things are working great, I think.
Right, so most of our signalized intersections that we maintain have battery backup systems to them, and they'll run it depending on how old and how much power the intersection demands in terms of usage. They may run for multiple hours or, 4 or 5 or even 8 hours. As we are able to do our preventative maintenance and checks on the batteries and replacing them, they will last longer in those scenarios. And so the less time we have to send out staff and put up stop signs or ask a police officer to do traffic control, the better operations, right? So if we're running on battery backup, the signal is operating under normal circumstances. And once the battery backup system gets to a certain power level, then it'll turn it into flash, and then it'll go dark.
And Michael, the other question I was going to ask is, I'm not sure if the council member has the question is it kind of light, do we have any competition? In other words, do we have an RFP for this type of service?
So that's a good question. Prior agencies I've worked for, I've also used Econolite. There are, depending on where you are in the Southern California, there may be competitors. It doesn't seem like in Ventura County that there's many folks that want to compete with Econolite. Doesn't mean that they don't. It just maybe they didn't want to bid it at the time. Maybe they already had contracts in place that were utilizing all their resources. But I will say Econolite is a pretty big outfit when it comes to helping local cities do this kind of work, and they are all over Southern California.
And most likely you'll probably understand our system well, which is really important, And I think that's, if we have somebody who's helped us out in the past, they know where basically all the signal lights are and how they work and the components that are required to maintain them, So.
Yeah, we'd like to think that most of our signalized intersections and our controllers are standardized, but I think to your point, Mr. Mayor, is that the faster that somebody can get out there, know where to go exactly, make those repairs, the better it is for our traveling public. So that knowledge is also key as well.
Fantastic. Council member, any additional questions?
No comments.
I think, again, to me, this is a big safety issue. It's something that is really, really important because I've seen a big mess over at 5 Points. And when you have 5 Points or Vineyard and Oxnard Boulevard, and boy, it can get pretty bad. So any additional questions?
No additional questions. Is there any public comments on this? Sorry.
You want to make a motion?
Yes. I move that.
Chair Zaragoza.
I was going to ask that before. Okay, go ahead.
We have no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
If Perello's watching, say, Perello, you're not the only one. Anyways,
I move to approve the recommendation.
thank you, and I'll second that. Please vote.
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
Okay, our next item E, Councilmember, any items for future agendas you might want to see?
No, sir.
And I don't have any, so we are adjourned. Thank you so much.